Zit van der Linde met het NOS-journaal. De zoektocht naar de vermiste tiener in zee bij het Zuid-Hollandse Monster is voor vandaag gestaakt. 3 zwemmers raakten vanavond in de problemen waarop een passant alarm sloeg. 2 mensen zijn uit zee gehaald, maar een derde is vandaag niet gevonden. De zoekactie richt zich op het gebied bij de Zandmotor. Dat is een opgespoten zandbank. Eerder vandaag moest de reddingsbrigade meer dan 200 keer uitrukken om hulp te verlenen. Daarbij werd zo'n 10 keer iemand gered uit een levensbedreigende situatie. 3 Amsterdamse cafés sluiten deels omdat er onlangs mensen met corona zijn besmet. Bij 2 van de cafés gaan alleen binnenruimtes of bargedeeltes 2 weken dicht en het andere café sluit helemaal. Zeker 14 mensen raakten besmet bij de cafés, maar mogelijk nog meer, want bij 1 café werkte een personeelslid met klachten gewoon door. Daarom hebben gemeente en GGD de cafés bij naam genoemd om klanten te informeren. De Amerikaanse en Britse politie hebben 3 mensen aangehouden voor het hacken van Twitter. Half juli werd op profielen van bekende twitteraars vage bitcoin-advertenties geplaatst. De accounts van oud-president Obama, Microsoft-oprichter Bill Gates, maar ook dat van Geert Wilders werden gehackt. De hoofdverdachte is een 17-jarige tiener uit Florida. De openbaar aanklager noemt hem het meesterbrein van de hack. Er zijn 30 aanklachten tegen hem geformuleerd. Griekenland neemt strengere maatregelen om een nieuwe piek in coronabesmettingen tegen te gaan. Het afgelopen etmaal zijn er 78 nieuwe coronagevallen bevestigd. Het hoogste aantal sinds het einde van de lockdown begin mei. Vanaf morgen zijn mondkapjes verplicht in alle openbare ruimtes. En ook Engeland worden de maatregelen weer aangescherpt. Het weer nog. Vannacht valt er lokaal een onweersbui. Het koelt af naar 17 tot 20 graden. In de steden blijft het warmer. Morgen 's ochtends nog een enkele bui en bewolkt. In het westen 24 tot 26 graden. En in het binnenland ruim 30. Dit was het NOS Journaal.
Midvliet FM.
Goeienacht. Leidschendam, Voorburg, Stompwijk en Wassenaar. Je luistert naar Midvliet FM. 107.2 en 107.9 FM. Midvliet. Radio, televisie, internet.
Midvliet FM.
Laatste uitzending van Club Madness. Nog 2 uurtjes die we door te gaan in ieder geval. Sterling Void, Ibiza klassieker eerste klas.
Revolution is in South Africa taking a stand.
dacht dat hij destijds via DJ International uit was gekomen. Maar het is even in de klassieke labels in ieder geval. Sterling Void, It's Alright. En later getekend via Rob Roar. Zijn Phonetic Record label. En daarvoor was het nog in ieder geval via Full Frequency Range Records. Het namelijk het label van Pete Tong himself. Die deze week wel 60 jaar is geworden. Happy birthday, Pete. Eén plaat. Het is hartstikke warm buiten. Beetje benauwd. Het is donker. En er hoort één plaat zeker bij. Goede vriend van de show. Robin J.D. Albers. Zijn Plastic Dreams. stuurde net een bericht in ieder geval. Het is donker buiten, het is warm, een beetje benauwd. zomers, dan is het ideaal eigenlijk, vind ik zelf, om deze plaat te draaien. Soms wil ik gewoon wachten eigenlijk tot het zo'n moment wordt op een jaar. En dan slaan we wel eens een jaartje over als het niet de combinatie maar goed uitkomt. JD Plastic Dreams, vriend van de show. We gaan naar Chicago. Chip, if may I call you like this, is it Chip E or is it just Chip? Chip.
Chip is fine. Or I mean, it's Chip E, but my friends is just Chip.
Chip, is it your real name?
No, of course not. Who would name their kid Chip?
When you started, let's say, just for remind the people, because your position in the music industry, of the house music industry, is bigger than we expected, of course. I've read so many things. I've seen you passing by in a document like Pop Out Volume. It was on BBC. Talking about imports. Is it really true that you learned Frankie Knuckles how to beat?
No. That would be totally inaccurate. No, Frankie was DJ before me. I was the first to bring Frankie into the studio, into a recording studio. But no, Frankie had been. I don't know who taught him how to beat match, but he. I will. You know what, Frankie was a great guy. He was a great supporter of the scene, and it was such a privilege every time I got to work with him. I met Frankie. Frankie Knuckles. I met Frankie Knuckles when I was working at Imports. He was already an established DJ. Now, as far as beat matching, he wasn't beat matching back then. That wasn't his thing. But he was truly a taste maker. He knew his music, and he knew how to read a crowd. He knew how to really bring it to a crowd and really direct the crowd. And I mean, he'd take the energy up, bring them down to mids, take them back up, and it was great. And I think after I met him, I did a couple of kind of extended remixes on songs. One of the first ones was Love Thing by First Choice. And I did this really cool edit with the extended intro, And I kept that going. And he loved it. And he played that at his venue, the Power Plant, a lot. But as far as Frankie, so later on, after I started making music, which he heavily supported, he was one of the first to play Time to Jack. He was one of the first to play It's House. He was one of the first to play Like This. And then I said, Frankie, it's time for you to make a record. He said, oh, Chip, I'm just a DJ. I don't make music. I was like, but you know what people like. You know what people love. I said, I'll help you. And so Joe Smooth, Joe Smooth of Promised Land fame. So Joe Smooth and I, we put together a session. We brought Frankie in. We brought in we have brought in a live brass ensemble. The song is You Can't Hide. It was a remake of the old, I think it was Teddy Pendergrass, maybe the first. But we redid the record with Frankie, and it was a pretty big hit. It got picked up by CBS. So that was Frankie's first record. So our histories are kind of intertwined.
What do you think about now that they think it's normally that DJs need to produce? Because for you guys, it was totally new, I think.
I think we were young creators, and we didn't have a lot of resources, but the resources that we did have, a lot of us, like I can't speak for everybody, but for myself, I skipped a lot of lunches in order to have money for records. When a lot of the kids were going out buying their first cars, I was saving money to get my first turntables. I kind of knew what was important. I remember I had just gotten a copy of a very rare record, Donna McGee, Make It Last Forever. This was a disco record, but it was really good and it was really rare. And I finally got a copy. And this young lady came into Imports where I was working, and she was a military. I think she was in the Air Force, and she had just returned from Japan. And she said, I've been looking for that record forever. And I was like, me too. And that's why I got it. She's like, I just got this Pioneer reel-to-reel I bought in Japan. I was like, done deal.
Oh, great.
Yeah, but of course, I made the agreement first. Let me have the reel to reel so I can at least record the album to reel to reel.
Yeah.
But those are the kind of sacrifice we made. We made sacrifices for music. We made sacrifices for gear, and I don't know that people today can appreciate that, because today, you could literally pick up your phone now and open an app and make a song. We didn't have it that easy. And a lot of the stuff, like for instance, a lot of people take MIDI for it. They really don't realize how important that was back in the day. MIDI being musical instrument digital interface. That standard probably only came out, I think, maybe in 1980. I'll have to research that. But in 1983, when I was going into a studio connecting MIDI equipment, the sound engineers couldn't even spell MIDI. I'm going into professional 24-track studios where some of the top groups in Chicago and around the nation recorded, and I'm walking in there with a Commodore 64 computer and a black and white TV because I couldn't afford a monitor, a Casio CZ101 keyboard, and I think at the time, I had my Roland 909 drum machine. And I'm connecting all these by MIDI, and I had to teach the engineers how to stripe the tape so that we could sync it up with MIDI, because we didn't have. It was a long time before we had digital recording. Everything was analog. So, like I said, not only were we innovators in dance music, but we were really innovators in music technology as well.
How did you see it right now that people are using the new technology? Do you think, well, let's say, if you look at your story, then you have to be very creative because you can use less things and you use new technology, of course, and be creative with things which are not built for music like this.
Well, the way I see it, the people today trying to make music, it's kind of a double-edged sword. In one way, it's really easy because, like I said, you have access. You can go on your phone and you can do a multi-session recording, and you can pull up synthesizers and samplers even and record vocals into your mobile phone. But the other side of it is there's so much available. And there's so much competition. It's hard to choose the right sounds, and it's also hard to stand out. I mean, when I started making music, you'd see a dance record like maybe there'd be like 5 hot dance records that would come out in a week, maybe. Now it's 5 hot dance records that come out every minute. So it's a totally different world. And like I said, you've got a lot to your disposal, but you've got to work a lot harder to stand out today.
And you made a record with Carl Cox, Time to Jack. What can you tell me about it?
So my first EP that I created was called Jack Tracks, and it was a 7-track EP. And the 2 standout tracks on it were Jack Tracks and Its House. I think everything at some time or another got played, but those are the 2 that have really stood the test of time. And Carl has always said that Jack Tracks, to him, Jack Tracks was the first techno record as well as the first house record, and he loves the record. So a few years ago, we were at Detroit Movement Festival, and I said, why don't we remake it? He said, yeah, let's do that. And so he just had a new studio built in one of his homes in Australia, and so I flew in and we spent some time working in the studio. We're both gearheads too, so we spent a whole lot of time out of the studio. We even took a weekend to go to a car show, but we spent some time putting down Jack Tracks and remaking it fresh. But when you listen to it, it's not a whole lot different from what the original is. It's kind of just refreshed because Jack Tracks really is the blueprint for house music.
Was the title Jack? Was it about sex?
So okay, so jacking has a couple of different definitions. So essentially, jacking is doing your best. That's what jacking is. So like if a DJ is really, really doing well, we'd say he's jacking the box. If you're dancing really well, they'd say, man, she's jacking, he's jacking. So it's really jacking means doing your best. But dancing to house music, I mean, there's the way that you dance to house music, really. Well, not for everybody, but it is very sexual. I mean, dancing to house music really is standing up, doing what you'd rather be doing laying down. I can say unequivocally, I did not create the term, but I was the first to put the term on a record.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know who created it, but it is definitely in it. But I can tell you, it started in Chicago. It started in Chicago on the South Side, and it is our own. And we're so happy that it's going around the world and that the whole world is jacking to our beats.
already mentioned that you worked in an import store in Chicago and wrote down on the label Housemusic. Did you ever thought about the effect of these words nowadays?
I kind of did, yeah, because like I said, when I was working at imports, I was also studying at Columbia College in Chicago, and I was studying marketing, and I realized the power of words. And not only that, but in imports, I noticed that if we put up a sign that said "as heard at the warehouse" or "as played at the warehouse," then those disco records, they would fly off the shelves. Because a lot of people didn't know, we didn't have Spotify back then, we didn't have YouTube back then. So it was a lot of people had favorite records, but they didn't know what the names of them were. And they try to hum them, or sometimes what somebody would do is if they were at a venue and there was a payphone near it, they would pick up the payphone and they call their house, and then they'd leave the music playing so it's on their telephone recording machine, their answering machine at home. Mm-hmm. And then they'd have to bring in the tape from their answering machine, and then we'd listen to it and we'd identify the record. So people didn't know the names of the records, but they knew that they liked disco. They knew that they liked the kind of disco music that Frankie played. They knew they liked music that was played at the warehouse. So again, by putting up the signs that said "as heard at the warehouse," people knew that was something they should listen to. That's something they should buy. Again, I was 18 at the time. I was lazy, and so I got tired of writing warehouse all the time. And the nickname of the warehouse was The House. The warehouse was nicknamed The House. The actual name of the venue was Us Studios, but because it was in a warehouse space, they called it The Warehouse, and then they shortened that down to The House. So I picked up on that term house, and I just put "as heard at the house." So when I decided to make my music, I decided, well, my music is going to be house music because it's something we've already branded. It's something that, we branded that in terms of disco music, okay? But I turned that label around and created a genre based on it, which is again what the Jack Tracks EP was. So the song "It's House," we were in the studios, myself, Kurt Landrum, who died about 10 years ago, Joe Smooth, and Eric E.T. Taylor. Kurt Landrum and I had came up with the idea for the Jack Tracks. We both went to Columbia College. We both DJ'd, and we liked each other's style. Joe Smooth was the older guy. He was already a kind of an established DJ, and he also had access to keyboards and stuff. Like he had this prototype of the Sonic Mirage keyboard. This was one of the first affordable sampling keyboards. So back in the day, if you wanted to do sampling, you would either go out and get a Synclavier, which was about $150,000, or you get a Fairlight, which was maybe $50,000 to $100,000, or you could go out and you can get this Sonic Mirage, which was like about $2,500.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, it's a big difference. It's a difference between, saving up a little bit or mortgaging your house. So Joe had this keyboard, and the other thing you could sample with was there was a Boss pedal. Roland has a line of products called Boss, and they were heavily geared towards guitarists. And they had an effect pedal which had delay, and it had about a quarter second of sampling. And with that quarter second of sampling, that was just enough to do things like "it's house," and then it had a pitch control on it. And that pedal was about $100. Okay, so anyway, so we're in the studio. The four of us are in the studio, and we're working on this EP, and we put down the music for what would become "It's House." And as we're doing the music, nobody had an idea, but once we heard it, and we were kind of like, this is house. And so I just got on the microphone and sampled into it. It's house. It's house. It's house. And that's how that came to be.
It's house. It's
Years ago from Amsterdam, and he was complaining about the term house music. He said the new sound of the 90s was more with techno and trance, with Tiesto and Ferry Corsten, and he was like more the oldie guys. He was starting in the late 80s. He said, no, the house music was what Frankie Knuckles was playing, but when I hear your music, I was like, go the hell with it. I just do what I want, and if this is his house, I call it house. How do you see this whole thing?
Well, wasn't it Shakespeare that said, a rose by any other name would smell just the same? I don't get caught up in titles. I mean, I think the reality of it is all electronic dance music really does come from house, whether you call it techno or Goa or trance or a tech house or any of that. It really does all flow from the same dance tree. There's some people who get caught up in certain eras and certain styles, and they get stuck there, and they can't move beyond. There are a lot of people in Chicago like that. There are a lot of people in Chicago who are not like that. But I remember, like when Frankie moved to New York, we missed him greatly because, we were always able to go hear Frankie anytime we wanted. And then Frankie came back from New York, and a few years later to play for a special party at a venue called House of Blues. And when he played all new music. And we were like, at first we were like, wait a minute, you're not playing all the old disco you played. You're not playing Martin Circus. You're not, you're not playing, you sing, Charlie Kalelo orchestra. You're not playing, There But For the Grace of God, I Go By Machine. You're not playing all this old disco. And he's like, no, that's old stuff. There's all this great new music out here. It made everyone wake up and go, oh yeah, So
wake up, time is moving. That's the whole thing. Yes, of course.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing, as time moves forward, it's time to move forward with the times. And, even BPMs have changed. I mean, back in the day when Frankie and I would play, it wasn't uncommon that we might, go from a range from 112 beats per minute up to maybe 121 beats per minute. That if you had something that was 124 beats per minute or over, we consider that high energy. That was just crazy stuff. I was playing in Asia a couple of years ago. I played this acid trance party, and I started off at 150 beats per minute, and I ended at 170. So, That's not where I normally live. I normally live, pretty much around 124 to 128 beats per minute. That's where I live. That's my address.
Yeah.
If anybody's looking for me, I'll be at 126 BPM Drive. But, like I said, you got to be flexible. I think, and that's it. I mean, if you play like everybody else, if you play what everybody else plays, if you don't try to be different, then you're not different. Then you're just the same, and there's no reason for people to pay any attention.
Yeah. How did you keep yourself updated about what's going on? What are you listening at the moment?
So I still, when I get out to when I play festivals, I book a hotel for the entire time. So I'm going and listening to other DJs. I'm going to listen, what's Martin Garrix playing? What's Carl Cox playing? What's Dubfire playing? The same thing when I'm, either at home in Japan or if I'm at home in Chicago, Fukuoka in Japan. But sometimes we'll hang out in Tokyo. But wherever I am, I try to make sure that if I'm not playing, I'm going out for at least one night of the weekend. And I might not go out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But if I'm not playing, I'm still going to go out. I'm going to check out and see what people are listening to. Like I said, it's nice to go on Beatport and listen to people's dance charts. I highly recommend that. But it's even nicer if you're serious about being a DJ, serious about being a producer. You need to get out and hear the music played live and see the reactions of the people. So that's how I keep in touch, is by actually getting out of the house.
Okay. Have you any special names at the moment? What you keep an eye on?
Yeah, well, okay. So a couple that come to mind are out of Spain, the Dirty Players. The Dirty Players are they're really hot right now. In Mexico, there's Redraft Memories. They are outstanding. And then there's this young kid out of LA. His name is Vlad Lux, and actually we played at a festival together. He's really talented as both a DJ and a producer. Soos Du Bois in Amsterdam. He's with Amsterdam's Most Wanted. That guy, he is. Before I put together a set, a lot of the times, because I don't completely pre-select music, but sometimes I'll put music into a crate. He's my go-to guy to find new music. This guy, he is the ultimate crate digger. I mean, when I talk about crate digging, I mean he's a lot younger, and he's able to go out, at many nights, and he plays a lot. But that guy, he's really introduced me to a lot of music, and now he's starting to do his own productions. So Soos Du Bois from Amsterdam's Most Wanted is definitely somebody to watch.
We still have the selection from you with two tracks left. Slam with Like This and your Deep Underground. Which one are you like to discuss?
Let's go with Deep Underground.
Deep Underground. What was your feeling to make this track? What was your idea?
I've always appreciated acid music kind of from an afar, but I've never. We did an acid version of Time to Jack, because Adonis and DJ Pierre, they made acid really big, But I really never considered myself an acid guy. And I got my hands on this 303, and I started playing with it. And the melody for Deep Underground just came together. And for me, I always start off with the drums. So I always do the drums, and then I come up with melodies and bass lines and things. But once I had the drums and the melody, I just said, this is deep. And I just said, Deep Underground. Gonna make your feet move around. It just came. It was I wanted to make something. I was hoping 2020 was gonna be a really amazing summer.
We have to pray a lot for this.
Yeah. So I was thinking this was going to be, this 2020 was going to be a second summer of love. It was going to be
It's close.
Yeah. It was going to be all of that. And this was Deep Underground was my dance music anthem for 2020.
Underground, gonna make your feet cloud around. Gonna make your ears hear the sound. I'm gonna make your body make your beat
You studied marketing.
sound around.
Is it true?
Correct.
Make your ears
I studied marketing. That's
hear the sound.
yeah. So yes, go ahead.
What will be your advice to the guys like now?
Well, I think you know what the kids really know better than anybody. Today how to do it. It's a lot about social media. But let me add to that. Don't just think that you can rely on your social media skills and your influencer skills and stay in your bedroom and make music. You've got to get out. You've got to get out to the clubs when they come back. You've got to get out to the festivals when they come back. You've got to really get outside when it's possible. And you've got to live the dance life, It's kind of like you can't be a butcher if you're vegetarian, For me, I feed from the energy of the crowd, It's really, really difficult for me to just, be in my studio and record a mix, because I do it not for me, I do it for the crowd. I do it to make people dance. I do it to make people have a feeling in their soul, in their heart. And without them there, it's kind of like having sex alone,
Oh. Yeah, well, for me, it's like the entertainment just so changed so very much. First of all, they say you have to play vinyl to be a real DJ, and before that, they say you have to play guitar and just playing the drums because to be a real musician. And I'm like, you guys, you just need to entertain the people that they have a good time at the moment for when they are in the clubs.
Gerard, let me speak to that for a moment. I'm really glad you brought that up. The thing is, only other DJs care what you're playing on. At the end of the day, it's the artist, not the paintbrush. Nobody dancing on the club is going, I wonder if he's using CDJs or Denons. I wonder if he's using vinyl or if he's, using a reel-to-reel. At the end of the day, like you said, it's about entertaining the club. It's about choosing the right music, and it's about continuing to choose the right music so that you take your crowd through a musical and spiritual journey. Like I said, yeah, it's nice if you know how to use turntables. It's nice if you know how to use CDJs. But you know what? When I'm listening to music, when I'm at a party, I really don't care. I just care that you selected the right music and that you're able to. Beat matching is important. But you know what? Now that today's music is so synthesized and it's based off of drum machines, the beats are perfect. It was hard in the day when we had a lot of disco music and you had a live drummer who would go from 119 beats per minute up to 122 beats per minute and then back down to 117 beats per minute and 119 beats per minute in the same song. That wasn't easy. But today, so I don't even care if you know how to beat match. What I care about is, can you select good music, and can you read a crowd, and can you put together the music so it feels seamless, but not boring, not mundane. I don't want just the same track and the same type of track. I want you to take me on a journey. I want you to give me some instrumentals. I want you to give me some hard, I want you to give me some soft. Bring in some vocals. I want an experience. I want you to do something to entertain me, but I really don't care how you do it.
The last one, Slam, with you like this, they remade it. Is it true?
Yeah. So we did a remake on it. So I think it's more interesting to talk about the original. It's easy to recognize why they'd want to make it. I mean, like this was a big song for me. Every time I meet someone from New Jersey, they tell me, about how out of all the places in the world, I think Like This was the biggest in New Jersey. They say that all the comedians in New Jersey, they would always talk about Like This, and they say, you didn't really have a new car until you had a sound system in it, and you were driving around the streets of New Jersey playing Like This.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a big one. But that song came about. Obviously, it's influenced by ESG Moody, but I think it goes way beyond that in where we took in terms of the percussion and the strings. But and the strings were played actually live. They were not sequenced. Those strings were played live by Liddell Townsend. Liddell Townsend is kind of my right hand man, and still is to this day. But he did that live in the studio, and just amazing work. But I just like I said, I always start off with rhythms, and then we were playing around with the keyboard. And I'm not really a keyboard player. Liddell is a keyboard player. I'm not a keyboard player. And I hit some keys, and I was like, hey, that sounds kind of like this other song, but it's not this other song, but it sounds like it. And I just kept going with it, and he was like, well, let me add this. And that's kind of the way it is. And that's why I really like collaborations, because you feed off of each other's energy. Like I said, and to me, that's what being at a party is, it's not just me DJing, it's a collaboration between me and the audience.
Whose idea was it to make this remix together with the guys from Slam?
Oh, I can't remember which one it was, but it was basically they contacted me and they're like, "Hey, we love this record. Can we redo it?" And they're based in Glasgow, and one of my favorite clubs, one of my absolute favorite clubs in the world is Sub Club. That's their home club, Sub Club on Jamaica Avenue in Glasgow, and I said, yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it.
I like this. 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 I like this, like this, like this.
I've got still one question in mind for a while. This is about your start when you started with import. You did study with economics and buying loads of hardware, of equipment. What did your parents thought about it when you say, I'm going to buy the equipment and not for driving's license for a car?
Yeah. Well, my mother, so I guess they kind of got it. My father's an electrician.
Yeah.
My mother's actually a creative writer. She's a copywriter.